This
previous class.
conference will now be recorded.
No, I'm yet to perform the activities from yesterday.
Okay. Okay, then let's proceed with today's class.
Mhm.
So I am planning to walk you through assortment management and listing in today's class. Okay, so we have almost covered all the prerequisites for creating the master data. So the one last pending is this one. So we completed the org structure, customer vendors. These are the two master data is already done,
Mhm.
and merchandise hierarchy, article hierarchy is also done. Now we will start with the assortment management and listing. So if this is done, then we can straight away go into the article masters. So yeah. So what do you mean by assortment management and listing? Any ideas?
Mm, Listing is maybe listing or making the article available for selling, purchasing, all of that.
Yeah.
Assortment management,
What is
categorizing the
assortment? What do you mean by an assortment?
assortment, maybe roughly means categorizing and grouping of similar articles, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So assortment is nothing but a company-wide product range that is assigned to a target group of site masters, whether it is a DC or store or DC and store together for a particular validity uh, period of validity. So meaning, yeah, that is the meaning of assortment. So assortment determines whether a store or a distribution center or a customer is allowed to receive deliveries of certain articles at a certain point in time. So therefore, it would be the checking mechanism for purchase orders and sales orders. So it doesn't mean that you just only create an assortment. This will do all the stuff, but you have to list that assortment to that list the articles in that assortment. Meaning, only then the articles will be made available for purchase or sales.
Okay.
So basically, why this assortment concept came into retail? Because in R3 also we have this concept, but we don't have an assortment. But we, instead of listing, we just extend the articles. So only that concept is there. Because the number of articles and the site masters that you handle in an R3 environment is very less. In the manufacturing, if you take the manufacturing plants would be a max of 10 to 15. That is even if the company is a huge company.
Mhm.
So on the articles they would be producing is like close to 100, maybe 100,000 in max to max. That is the maximum amount they will have it. So it is easy for you to manually maintain these articles or extend those articles. Whereas in our retail, the number of articles and the number of site master that you have is unprecedented. Like probably it is like close to millions of articles, and sites you will have like close to thousands. So it is not possible for you to manually go and extend. So that is the reason SAP has come up with a concept called assortment, where you group the similar kind of articles, where these articles will be used by a similar range of stores, right? And those are called the assortment users who would be using that assortment. And in that assortment, we will group the say merchandise categories or the articles directly, okay? And we will list these articles into that assortment, meaning all these articles will indirectly extend it to the assortment users or nothing but these stores and DCs. That is the
Okay.
point. So it actually eases out our work. Clear with this assortment and what is the
Hmm.
rationale of doing this kind of a strategy?
Yeah.
So in assortment concept, there are two types of assortments that could possibly be created in a retail system. One is the local assortment, and the other is the general assortment. Local assortment is nothing but an assortment that is unique to that particular store. That is when you create a site master, whether it is a DC or store, with the same site ID, the system will itself create a local assortment with the same store ID. Okay. So if you create a store, you will create a local store assortment. If you create a DC, you will create a local DC assortment. okay, with the category store and DC respectively. Clear?
Okay.
And that assortment can be only used by that particular site. You cannot use that assortment to any other stores. You cannot group more stores in that. Okay, they are unique to that particular site. Whereas a general assortment is nothing but you create an assortment with a category of type general, that is manually you create in the system, and with that said, you can group many sites together in that particular assortment so that more number of sites can use that common assortment. Okay, say for instance you create an assortment. Say for instance you handle 3 range of stores. One is the departmental store, one is the supermarket, one is the hypermarket. Okay, departmental store only contains the basic essential items like groceries and all those stuff. Supermarket contains mid-range of products like groceries and dairy products and basic beauty essentials. Whereas if it is an hypermarket, you have A to Z, like ranging from toilet paper to television, everything. You have extensive variety of products, right? So that's how you group the products. So this hypermarkets will not be available, or this hypermarkets normally you have it in the metro cities, right? So all the metro city stores will be assigned to with that hypermarket, so that all the articles A to Z will be assigned to that and listed. Whereas for supermarket, you will have tier 2 cities, right? So in that places you will have, or in the metro itself, in what do you say, in an extensive area or in the outskirts, you will have that. Departmental store is like every nook and corner, wherever you have it, you have the presence of that store. So all the departmental stores you will group as the assortment user and assign it to that departmental store assortment. And all the hypermarkets like metro mall stores or mall stores, you will group it and assign it to the hypermarket. Is that clear? That's how you group, you create general assortment and assign the stores or DCs together. Is that clear?
Yeah.
So that's the basic difference. So how do we create assortment and list it? So normally we assign individual articles to assortment directly, or instead you generally assign merchandise category to assortment. So all the articles created under that merchandise category will in turn be assigned to that assortment. Okay, so when these two approach will be differ is like, suppose in case of hypermarkets, we know that we are going to deal with A to Z products. So instead of assigning each and every individual article, you can just assign the merchandise category. So all the articles under that will be assigned. Whereas in case of a departmental store, you are not going to deal the entire range of products, right? But you will deal here and there, very basic essentials. So you will only group that specific articles that you're going to deal with that into an assortment module and assign that assortment module to assortment. So that, get my point, why we do this? Because we don't want the entire articles under the merchandise category to be assigned. Just in case if we assign the merchandise category to an assortment. So that's the reason we take these two approaches. Okay?
Okay.
Doubts?
No.
Perfect. Okay, so now coming back to the configuration settings. Suppose you wanted to use the general assortment in your system, then you need to have this setting active in your system. So that means only if you have this multiple assignment active indicator flagged, only then you will be able to use the general assortment. Otherwise, you will not be able to use general assortment. You will have to live with your local assortments. That is 1:1 assortment between site and assortment. Is that clear? So this is the preview. So when you do, list an article with a general assortment, what normally it happens? Because you assign the articles to a general assortment and you group stores, variety of stores or range of stores into that assortment. So when you list this article in this assortment, in turn this article will be listed to all these sites. Okay, it's one-time activity, but in turn it extends the articles to multiple sites who were assigned in that assortment. Okay. So basically in this general assortment, you can assign any number of stores, right? So that is why n number of assortments can be assigned to m number of assortment users. Say for instance, one assortment can be assigned to multiple users. Same way, this store can be a user in multiple assortments, right? Assortment 1, assortment 2, assortment 3, it can be. Because it is a hypermarket, you can have this store can be a user in the general, hypermarkets, supermarket, departmental stores, anything. So that's why n number of assortments can be assigned to m number of assortments. Infinity relationship.
Okay.
Okay. So when you create, when you list an article in that assortment, you have the listing conditions created against this assortment. Okay. We will see that in the system. So either you can have this approach, like you can assign individual stores into that assortment, or simply you can assign only the reference site to the assortment. So that in turn, once the assortment is listed, this reference site will already extend the listing to its original or the referenced sites. Clear?
Yeah.
Any approach you can take. So there are different types of assortment modules that are created in the system automatically. What are they? And there are certain modules that are created manually in the system by us. So when you create when you list an article in MM41 or MM42, you have this profile module created by the system automatically. Okay. Just in case if you are using a layout, say for instance you have a layout, you wanted to arrange the products in a certain way or certain aspect. So you use a planogram or JDA, something as that. So interface those details and list it. Then in that sense, you will have the shelf module created automatically. When you go for a promotion and you wanted to list those articles only for that promotion period, then if you list the articles using the promotion transactions, system will create promotion module automatically. Okay.
Okay.
Just in case if you wanted to go, like suppose you wanted to assign the articles to a departmental store, right? Then you create a standard module, you assign it, and then assign this standard module to that general assortment. Local module is if you wanted to assign a certain list of articles to a local assortment, then this local module is there. What is exclusion module is, say for instance, 100 articles are in a merchandise category and you just don't want to list only 2 of the articles. So rather than including 98 articles into the module manually, what you can do, you can just simply add the assortment, the merchandise category into the assortment, and you create an exclusion module and just add this 2 articles which you want to exclude, so that these 2 articles will not be listed. Clear?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rack jobber module is like if it is a vendor managed inventory. Say for instance, in case of Coca-Cola or in case of Pepsi or anything as such where the vendor is going to manage your inventory, those things can be listed via rack jobber module. Okay. And
What is vendor managed inventory?
Probably like if you look into the scope for Pepsi,
Mm-hmm.
you will know that the vendors like directly from Coke company or the Pepsi company, they will come directly and they will take the inventory list, and if it is going to go out of stock, they will just replenish it, right? So it is not something that we do an explicit order for that or anything. That means that inventory is completely managed by the vendor itself. He offers you the refrigerator, he offers you the tray, everything. So the moment you sell the product, you just you take the commission and you just settle the remaining based on the products or the bottles that you have been emptied, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is called the vendor managed inventory.
Okay.
So that are the different types of modules that you create possibly in the system. So when you want to create an assortment, you can manually go into the transaction and create, or you can just simply copy from an existing source to a target one and make changes on the target, as simple as it is. So that when you copy, all the existing modules from the source will also get copied to the target. Okay. For this to do, you must need to have this multiple assignment active indicator, because local assortment you cannot copy. Only thing you can do is general assortment is what you can create, right? So in that sense, obviously, as I had told you before, multiple assignment active indicator must be flagged.
Okay.
Clear? Okay. Now, what is the process of creating a new store whenever in the store? So you create a site master, all right? Then you create a vendor vendor and site relevant information like purchasing info records, purchasing conditions, everything you maintain. Then you maintain what is the replenishment parameter and what is the logistical parameters for that, what is the storage location, what RP type I should use, what is the minimum stock, maximum stock, everything you maintain. Then finally you assign this site to an assortment use, to an assortment as an assortment user, right? So that the articles are listed into the newly created store. This is the process of generally creating a new store. Clear?
Yeah.
So what happens if we don't list? If we don't list, we cannot create purchase orders, or we cannot create sales orders, correct? So system will issue an error that this article is not listed in the particular site. So in order to do that, you have to, after creating an assortment, you have to manually go and list that articles. Okay.
Okay.
Only if you list it, you will be able to do it. So when you do a listing, what are the different types of listing procedures that you can use it to check and validate in the system whether this article is qualified for listing in that particular assortment or not? So there are different types of listing procedures which you can utilize. Out of it, the basic one I will walk you through. So the one first is like a basic procedure, profile check with the merchandise category. What does that mean? So suppose in case you are going to list you wanted to list an article into an assortment, what does it generally does is, if you use this listing procedure, system will check the article that you are going to list, right, to what merchandise category it is assigned, and that merchandise category is assigned in the assortment that we are listing or not. If so, if it is assigned, then it will proceed ahead. If it is not assigned, system will issue an error. Clear?
Okay.
Just a second. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Clear with this procedure?
Yeah.
And the next one. So we do with basic profile check with assortment grades. Suppose in case in a certain store, we offer a product, say for instance, you buy an iPad with the iPad pencil. So that's how you sell it, right? In certain stores, you only sell it with iPad. So in that case, how are you going to sell, right? That is the way in the article master, you will define the assortment grade. So if in case in certain stores, like in a supermarket, hypermarket, you sell always iPad with iPad and pencil for a certain period of time. So you, for that particular article, in that particular assortment grade, you will mention as 2, right? Meaning you will sell assortment and iPad and iPad with pencil, Apple pencil. Okay. So now in the assortment where this article is assigned, right? So for instance, in case of hypermarkets assortment, you will have to have the same number of assortment grade or greater than that, you should have it. Say for instance, we can sell iPad and pencil minimum. Along with that, you can sell on a bundle of more than that as well. iPad, pencil, and earbuds. But in case of supermarkets, you will only sell the iPad pencil. So in that assortment, this merchandise category should have assortment grade as 1, right? So if you try to list article with both the bundle in supermarket, system will issue an error message saying that the assortment grade is higher, so it will not allow you to list, right? So that way this will help you to control.
I did not get the last part. For supermarket, I did not understand that.
Supermarket, you will always able to list the iPad only as an iPad. You will be able to sell only as iPad. But whereas in hypermarket, you will always be able to sell with minimum as iPad and iPad pencil. I mean Apple pencil. So you cannot switch these things.
Okay.
Layout check. Yeah, layout check is simple. It is nothing. In case if you actually interface this with the planogram or any space management software, then based on the layout area or the way they are assigned, based on that, we will define the layout module, and that layout module must be assigned in that article, and that layout module should be assigned in the assortment as well. Only then this article will be listed. Because in the shelf, I need to assign only, say for instance, in the shelf, I need to assign only cosmetics like shampoo and conditioner. That is what is defined in that shelf. And that shelf is assigned with the layout module, right? So I will have that in that layout module, I will have a conditioner and shampoo as an article, right? And that layout module will be assigned to that particular store assortment. Only then system will check, okay, this article is in this layout module and this layout module is in this site master. So I will allow you this article to list. If that article is not there in the layout module, then system will not allow you to list.
Okay.
And yeah, this is what the space management. So in the first time layout module, when you create in the system, first version until May, you have this list of articles. But from this, after May until July, you are removing this product from the shelf, right? And creating a version 2, and you will list it, right? That's how whenever you change this thing, system will, when you list it, system will try to see if that article is there in the layout, module or not. If not, then I will throw an error. Is that clear?
Mm-hmm.
So classification check is simple. You create an article with certain characteristics, and that characteristics must be assigned to that particular merchandise category, right? If not, then system will throw an error.
Okay.
So these are the configuration setting. I will show directly in the system rather than seeing it here. So when you create a listing, what happens in the system technically behind? I said, right, you will have the listing conditions created in the system. So that listing conditions are created and logged under the table WLK1, meaning this article is listed to this assortment from this date to this date, and automatically system will create, right? In case if you are listing it, right, in certain aspects. So this is the listing module that has been generated. Along with that, system will also extend or create entries in 3 other tables. One is the MVKE, which will create or which will extend the articles sales view, and Marcy, the system will extend the article site view, right? It will extend, it will create extension in the each site master. And there is one more table which is called WLK2, where it will create the POS entries. I'll show in the system directly. Okay. So technically, these are the 4 tables that it will get updated: WLK1, MVKE, MARC, and WLK2. And what is assortment list type? So this assortment list type we will see directly when we come to the POS outbound and POS inbound. This is nothing to do with this assortment, but I have grouped it. So this we will see when we come to the POS outbound. Okay. So this is there are certain screen dumps where you can see how to create an assortment. Okay. But now we will go into the system and see how it works. right? ISR 002, correct? Password
India
is
123.
all are small, right?
Yeah, India 123. Yes, all in small.
So I said, right, in order to have this listing with general assortment, you need to have the multiple assignment indicator flagged. And that is here. Multiple assignment is active. Only if this field is flagged, you will be able to use general assortments. Clear?
Okay.
Now, we'll go to assortment, and in assortment, assortment types. So what are the high level? This is nothing actually operationally, it doesn't have any value. It only contains whether we are going to include layout in this assortment type or not. That's what it contains. Okay. So for instance, basic, if I go, whether I'm going to create and assign the assort layout module or not, create and assign the layout module or not. Right. So if I'm going to use on this, only if I tick this, I'll be able to interface interface with the external planning, space management software. Okay, and if that is the case, what is it? If I'm not going to use, I can just take it. Say for instance, I can copy this.
Select entries. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to use anything. In this case, nothing will be created. Okay. Assortment type is created. Okay. Then in case you wanted to define assortment priorities, you can define this thing. That's the standard one. So no other thing. And listing procedures, we come to this. So this listing procedure, which we talked about, basic procedure, assortment, material group, classification check, layout check, right? We will see this. So how does the pricing procedure? So if you wanted to assign authorization object, you can assign this. It's the standard one. Just in case if you want to use your custom one, that's also possible. So how does this parameter will control how I'm going to control this with this listing procedure? So whether should I use the standard procedure checks or external procedure checks? Should I list everything even though without referring to that or not? Right? Multiple listing for this assortment is possible or not? Profile change, all these parameters will be controlled, and in what sequence I should check. Say for instance, this is a B1. I'm just going to check the material group and the assortment grade, right? So it will have only the listing profile procedure check. Whereas this is classification check. I will have only checks to classify the classification, that is classifying procedures. Similarly, if I go to the layout, I will have only the layout. Okay. Okay. Only layout. But I wanted to check everything. Now I want to do the entire check. Then it will have first is basic procedure check, and I will do the classification check, right? This is an and parameter. Should I do this and this check, or if it is an or? Whether this one or this one, either of one is successful, also I will allow the article to list. So that way we can control.
Okay.
Right? When you list it, you should always see if that article has sales price created, or if zero price sales price is okay, right? All these things will be assigned, correct? So what is the standard listing algorithm? So in case you have your own systems, custom defined algorithms, you can define it here. Otherwise, it's all the standard ones. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the. So if you see, look into it. This is the standard algorithm which SAP is providing, right? You will not have the code exposed, but if in case you wanted to create your own algorithms, you are very much welcome to do that. Okay, but you will have to create your own. That's all with the assortment configuration. Now I'll show you how to create the assortment. Go to WSOA1. Okay, so assortment type, we will use our Z001. I'll use null. Okay, I have entered. Okay, I'm not going to do any layout checks for this assortment. Listing conditions must be created. So this is active and can be assigned to the assortment. Now I will just do the description. And to which sales area you want to assign? Z, what is that?
ZK01.
ZK01, and this is for retail. Okay, and listing procedure for now we will keep B1. Okay. Okay. Only do you want to assign merchandise list assigned merchandise? So you wanted to only list the articles or that belong to the merchandise category, and that merchandise category must be listed to it, right? So I just take this flag. So language, nothing. So in this merchandise category, I can give all the merchandise categories that I created. So in our case, these are the merchandise categories, right? Fruits. Okay, that's it. So now we have assigned everything. So in this assortment user, I will just assign our site masters. What are the site masters that you have created so far?
Site masters is that store one, DC1. Yeah.
Have you created these two DCs, ZDC1, ZDC2?
I think we have only created one. DC1,
You
ST1.
have to give the site master's customer ID. So it should be ZDC1, ZST1, right? And let's see, ZDC2 have created. No, we have not created. Okay.
So you can
So
try
just
buy ST1 also if you.
no, but yours is a different org, no? Org structure, right? Yours is different.
Correct.
So you should use it correctly. So just I created. So system will say now itself you should start listing or not. So you just leave it. Click on this, check, and so click on immediate and save. But actually we have not created any article, so it will not do anything. Okay. So that is how you create an assortment. So you go to WSOA3 and you can check it. Okay, this is the basic data. And in this merchandise category, whatever articles, suppose I don't want to use all the articles under this merchandise category, then what I'll do, I'll go to WSO1, okay, and I will create an assortment model. I showed you, right? Standard, exclusion, rack jobber, value contract. So these are the modules. So I create assortment general module. I press enter. I'll manually give what are articles I'm going to add in this module, I will create and save it. Okay, I've not created any article, so I cannot do it. So I'm just showing you how to do it. So once I created this assortment module, then I have to assign this assortment module to my assortment. Go to WSO file and click on the module and press enter. System will, then in the next tab, it will ask to which assortment I should assign. Just give the assortment and save it. That's it. Okay. Yeah, that is with the creation of assortments and assortment modules. And listing we cannot do because I cannot show you how to list it. Once we create the articles, I'll show you how to list it. Okay.
Okay.
So that is it with the where is this? God, where did this PPT go? The characteristics. Give me a minute. I think I am lost that page. Fuck, what happened? Where did it go? Shit. I'm trying to find the characteristics PPT. I'm not able to retrieve that. Okay, this PPT is merged with both the stuffs. Okay, we'll take this PPT itself. Now, this is what I wanted to show. So what is this? We were talking about this characteristics, right? So how do we create and assign this to the merchandise categories is what we are going to see now. So we have this characteristics stuff in the retail system, which we will use this to create some articles, right? So that characteristics can be yeah, classifying an object or to create an article based on certain stuffs. Like it could be a color or a size or a brand, anything else for that matter. Is that clear? So that is called the characteristic. So it is basically an attribute of an object. So we can
Okay.
differentiate between the characteristics as can be two stuff. One, it can be a variant creating characteristic. That is, it can be used to create an article. Okay. Whereas it can also be used for creating, it can be as a non-variant creating characteristic, just for the information sake. Right. So now we will see how to create the characteristics. So in characteristics, in generally in R3, you create it via a standard transaction called CT04. In retail also, you can use the same transaction code to create the characteristics. Also, you can have the new characteristic value storage method to create characteristics. We will see how to create both the steps. In case if you wanted to use the new characteristic value storage, instead of assigning the characteristic values directly in CT04 transaction, you will assign a function module to the characteristic, and then you will use two other transaction codes to feed in the values. Okay, just keep that in mind. I'll show you how to create and do that. So this is how the new value storage will look like. Now I will show you in the system. CT04. This is the standard transaction to create characteristic. Okay. Now I'm going to create characteristic color. Okay. So data type is character. Okay. Number of characters, it could be 18. That's fine. It's not case sensitive. Now I go to the values and I can simply assign the values directly. Red, blue, white, pink, purple, orange, brown, right? I can assign similar way. Okay, and simply save it. I can create a characteristics likewise. Or if you want to use the new value storage method, how do you do that? You go and create color, right? Okay, I go to value. I don't give the values directly. I just click on other value check, click on function module, press enter. Then I click on WRF cat star 9 star. Okay. WRF check underscore can underscore value. Okay. WRF underscore check underscore care underscore back, right? This is the function model. Just click on save it. Now you will not enter the values here. Instead, you will enter it here. W10T. So this will activate the retail transaction. You can just go into retailing, master data, classification, characteristic, assignment. Okay. Now you go to this WRF CH val type. Okay. Now you have to define with the characteristics that we have created, right? Is it a color characteristic or this is a color characteristic, right?
Mhm.
On that. And how do you want to check error? If in case you are going to assign any value that is not defined in this value storage, should the system throw an error or just a warning, or it can allow it? It will say if in case I wanted to throw as an error. Suppose you can have sizes, primary sizes, secondary sizes, right? So in that size, whether it is a main size or a, here you can say it is a main size or a secondary size, likewise. You can use this to distinguish or, oops, save it. So this is done. Now I have done this. Now I go to the cal value storage. Then I will include the values into it. Now click on change. This is a color characteristic, and this here you give the values now. Red, green, blue, pink, purple, black, white, brown,
So what is the advantage of having this second method? It is
yeah, I'll show you. Now we have done this, right? Now next step is what is the advantage? Suppose I define that this color characteristic should only certain colors should be assigned appear in the merchandise category. I don't want all the other characteristics to come in. So how do I do that? I can restrict that. So this is a color. If I want to restrict this characteristic color to certain merchandise category, I can do that. I can restrict that. If I wanted to assign what is the characteristic value that should group and say for instance color in this current world, you have something like close to 1,000 colors or 12,000 colors. So when you create an article master, I will show you, I'll relate that when we go for creating the generic article master. At that time when you press F4 and you want to select the color characteristic, if you go with a conventional method of CT04 and maintain the values directly, if you have maintained the 1,200, all that will pop up in one single pop up, and you will have to go and manually traverse and select the data, which is very cumbersome. Suppose you wanted to, you group it, the color characteristic based on like, okay, for spring, this are the colors I will choose. For autumn, I will use these colors. For summer, I will use these colors. So now when you go for this creation, you just need to select this group, whatever spring, summer, or autumn. When you select that, only values that are assigned to that spring will come. You get my point? So it becomes
yeah.
more easy for you, and system performance also increases. And similarly, if you don't want to assign, restrict certain merchandise categories from using certain characteristics, you can do that as well with this help.
Okay.
Okay. That is, so now how do we do that? Go to change mode. Okay. Now I create a new step. Say for instance, sorry. So under this, I will create. This is spring. Okay. Spring colors. Similarly, I will create one more. Autumn. Right. Now summer. Summer.
That
Also,
got created under autumn.
yeah, I understand that. We have delete it. Select this and click on create. Okay, select this. Done. Now I will group the colors here. Now click on this plus. So now all the values that you assigned in the WRFCHAR val, right? That transactions will come. So for spring, whatever colors you want, you can select green, pink, white, blue, right? I will use only these colors. Now go to autumn. Whatever colors you need, you can select autumn, black, brown, purple, and red. Similarly, we'll go to summer and select white, green, brown, purple. Similarly, winter. Okay. Blue, black, pink. White. Done. Now save it. That's how. So now that's how you group the characteristics. So colors, right? Suppose you wanted to list this, restrict this merchandise categories, you can do that. Like click on change mode first, click on create. So in our case, say for instance, groceries will never use characteristics, right?
Okay.
What is a cereals KT? What
Oh,
is this?
I have created. Use the upper one.
I could not see anything after. Which one? Which one should I
No,
take? Food.
you see the gray table, yeah.
Yeah. Say for instance, I don't want to use this one. Okay. And vegetables. Okay. So henceforth, with this, for this merchandise categories, I will not be able to use this merchandise category. Say for instance, WG22. Go. Okay. Come on, V. I wanted to assign these characteristics to merchandise category. I go here. I give here COLOUR. Sorry. Only while creating or assigning creating the articles it will not allow. Not at this time. Sorry. My bad.
Okay, but then there it said merchandise category restriction, no?
1 minute. Just a minute. Just a minute. Let's try 1 minute. So just park that for a while. Now I'll tell you. We have created a characteristic, right? Now we can assign this to any of the merchandise categories or merchandise hierarchies. You know, right? So you go to CLWN. Okay, this is the hierarchy level. Now, say for instance, I take fashion. Okay. Now I go and assign the characteristics here, right? What happens? You have to make this in case if you want to create that as a variant creating, you have to select this and select relevant to create variants. Okay, should be 2. Okay, now save it. Only then you will be able to use this colors characteristic to create variants. Okay, now I have created this under fashion, but now if I go to this merchandise category WG24, which is display, I go and select and characteristic, automatically that color characteristics would have been inherited. Get your point? Because that is inherited, right? If I assign it to the top node, all the bottom nodes will also get inherited with that characteristics. Clear?
Right.
So for instance, now I'll go and create one more /MCT04. Size. Okay. I'll create sizes. I go and give 28, 30, 32, 34, 36, 38. This is yes, this is medium, this is large, this is XL. Okay, now I save it. Now, just in case, I can assign this characteristic to WG WG22. Okay, I can go shirts, right? Shirts. Okay, enter. Click on this. I can go to characteristic and I can assign this characteristic here and select this is a variant creating characteristic. I can assign the values like this, or I can do one way. CLW1. Sorry. CLW1. CLW1. CLWE. Oh shit. CLWE. Okay, I can create a characteristic profile. What does that mean? Characteristic profile is nothing but grouping one or more characteristics into a profile. Okay, into it together is called the characteristic profile. Say for instance, I create null. Click on characteristics. I can assign color, and size, and these two will be variant creating characteristics. That's it. So okay. Now I can assign this characteristic profile directly to merchandise categories. Correct? I can only do that. I cannot assign it to the any of the hierarchy levels. So WG22, I go there. I select any of the characteristic profile for this. I select trousers. Okay. Okay. Now I go and give this characteristic profile here and click on create. Now the profile is assigned. Is that clear? Now if I go to characteristic and keyword, nothing will be there, but still you can display this. Okay. Is that clear? So now this profile is assigned. So this is how you create characteristic and assign to the characteristic profiles. I mean, in both the ways, in new ways and conventional ways, you can create and assign. But I will show you when we create the article master, I will show you the more in detail how that it takes more effect. Okay. So right now, just keep in mind or bear in mind that this is how to create the characteristics and characteristic profile. Is that clear?
Mhm. Why can't we assign the profile to hierarchy levels?
No, we can't. It can be only assigned to the last level, which is the merchandise category.
Okay, but we can map individual characteristics to a hierarchy level,
Yeah, you can map to hierarchy level or merchandise category, anything you can map, that's fine.
but
But
not a
profiles
character.
map to the merchandise categories.
Okay,
Is that clear? So I think I will stop here. So I planned only these things for you today.
mhm.
So tomorrow, I mean, next time we will see the article master. So from there, we will our, you will be able to see it in full swing from there on.
Okay,
Okay. So I think we will stop here now. So maybe next week we'll meet.
sure.
Okay. Then see you. Bye. Next week, what is the time that you
Um,
think
I'm
slot?
fine with this time.
Okay.
Okay.
Not a problem. Friday we can have one confirmation. Then that's fine.
Yeah, I'll drop a confirmation note to you.
Bye. See you.
Thank you. Bye.